Be careful when playing Randonautica by Uncle Perry. Hunter was a guy in his 20s, uneducated and bored. One day, while he was playing Xbox with his friend Micah, he told Hunter about an app he should try. It was called Randonautica. Just briefly, in case you've never heard of it, Randonautica is an app where you tell it what you want to see or experience, called an intention, and it gives you a location within a few miles away that has something to do with your intention. It's kind of like a twisted geocache. Anyways, back to the story. Hunter was skeptical. How can a cell phone read your mind and create something that relates to what you just asked for? It doesn't make any sense. Regardless, Hunter downloaded the app anyway. He figured it'd be a good way to kill some time and get out of the house. He entered his first intention, birthday, or birthday if you're from the South. It wasn't his birthday, or even close to it. It was just a random thought that he had. He figured would be a fun one. An animation of an owl flying displayed on his phone. Within a few seconds, it stopped and a map pulled up. His destination was 5.1 miles away and was marked with a pinpoint on the map. He got into his car and headed towards the pinpoint. As he approached it, he noticed he hadn't been down this road before. It was almost as if this road had just popped into existence for this adventure. He was arriving at the pinpoint when he noticed a bunch of balloons tied to a mailbox. They said, "Happy birthday." Down the driveway, beside the house, was a huge birthday party for someone's kid. There must have been at least 20 cars in the field. There was also a bouncy house, a huge inflatable slide, and a small stage with a clown acting silly in front of dozens of kids. It was an incredible looking birthday party. Wow, what a coincidence, he thought. I gotta do this again. He came up with another intention. He typed in love. It generated a pinpoint 4.3 miles away. He raced toward the location with giddy excitement. As he neared his destination, he pulled into a parking lot. The pinpoint was about 150 yards away into the woods. Uh-oh. A dirt trail started into the woods from the parking lot. It seemed to take him in the wrong direction, but soon circled back towards his pinpoint. The sounds of birds in the trees was enchanting. The crunch of the dirt under his shoes made it a relaxing walk. The trail led to a clearing. He entered the clearing and checked his phone. The pinpoint was over in the middle of the clearing. As he got near, he noticed something sticking out of the ground. It was a gravestone. Who would want to be buried out in the middle of nowhere? He thought out loud. He walked over to it. It had fresh flowers all around the base. The name on the stone was Love. Underneath the name, it said, "Every moment without you is a moment of time lost." Incredible! This thing really works! He took a picture of it with his phone and headed back to the car. When he got back to his car, he eagerly pulled up the app on his phone. "I'm gonna mix it up a little this time," he mumbled mischievously. He entered abandoned house. This time, he said it out loud, thinking it might help generate a really good location. In a few seconds, a location appeared. It was 3.2 miles away. He started driving towards the location. It took him out along a one-lane paved road. It was way off the beaten path. The road turned to gravel as he got near. It was yet another road he'd never driven on before, but he was still fairly close to his house. Approaching the pinpoint, he saw a very old-looking farmhouse. No cars were in the driveway, and the weeds were growing up the sides of the house. It looked abandoned. He got out to investigate. The front door was missing, and he could see right into the house. The wooden front porch creaked as he carefully walked up to the doorway. Just to be sure it was abandoned, he said, "Is there anybody in here?" He got no response. He walked in and looked around. It still had furniture in it and pictures on the walls. He went to the kitchen. Dirty dishes covered in dust were in the sink. The refrigerator had clumps of molds in it, which must have been food at one time. The dining room had untouched plates, silverware, and cups set out for the next meal. Creepy. He went upstairs to the bedrooms. It was similar to the downstairs. Musty clothes were laid out to be worn on the dust-covered bed. Shoes lined directly underneath them. The bathroom still had toothbrushes and towels hanging up. It's like one day the owners just got up and walked out. Strange. As he was leaving, he heard a noise come from the basement. It sounded like a pail falling over and rattling on the floor. He walked around the side of the house to the outside cellar doors. He slowly opened them and looked into the dingy darkness. The cobweb-covered entrance was less than inviting. As he was surveying the basement, he heard footsteps. He focused into the blackness of the cellar. Without warning, the ghostly walking stomped up the steps towards him. Shocked, he slammed both cellar doors and bolted for the car. He fumbled with his keys, forcefully turning the ignition, and screamed away from the house, throwing gravel and dust everywhere. When he got to the main road, he was still amped up from the creepy encounter. His adrenaline was pumping like a steam engine. In his euphoria, he decided he wanted more. So he entered the intention, "something spooky," and started repeating it out loud. "Something spooky, something spooky, something spooky." Randonautica gave him a location 2.1 miles away. Hunter put his car in drive and quickly roared away. He was near the pinpoint in no time. It took him to an abandoned amusement park. He slowly drove around the parking lot and looked around. He parked near the main entrance and headed in. The pinpoint was somewhere in the theme park. Again, he didn't remember ever seeing this place before. It must have closed down before he was born. It was almost dark as he was nearing the location. He could hear noises all around him. They were normal noises, like paper skipping over the concrete, metal ride cars creaking, and wind howling between the buildings. But in his anxiety, he just knew something wasn't right. He cautiously approached the pinpoint. It was at a chain swing ride. I love those things. He approached the ride slowly. As he got to where the swings were, he heard some chains rattling. He nervously looked at the seats. They were all completely still, except for one. It was moving back and forth, like someone was sitting in it. He timidly shuffled over to it. It continued to sway, even though there was no wind. As he reached out towards it, the chair shook violently. He backed away quickly. As he did, more of the seats started jolting to life. That was enough for Hunter to say, "Oh, hell no!" and he dashed for the main entrance. Don't blame him. When he got there, he looked back and saw a ball of light hovering in the distance. It was getting closer, and he decided he'd had enough. He sprinted back to his car, got in, and hastily departed. Completely inebriated with adrenaline, he wanted to try one more time. Famous last words, just one more. When he got to a safe spot, he pulled over and fired up Randonautica again. This time, his intent was, well, a little further than he should have went. It was something deadly. He chanted his intent with ferocity. Something deadly, something deadly, something deadly, something deadly. Randonautica popped up a location. It was just 0.5 miles away. Damn, that was right around the corner, he said. He got the car turned around and headed to his final destination. No pun intended. It took him down some streets he was very familiar with, for once. While he was driving, he noticed his apartment building in the distance. As he got nearer to the pinpoint, he realized it was going to be his apartment building. What the hell? He thought. He pulled into his parking spot and got out. He checked his phone for the location. Is it leading to my apartment? If not, it was certainly going to be extremely close. This don't sound good already. He walked up the stairs towards his place. As he rounded a corner, someone grabbed his hand. He jerked it away and suddenly saw a man with a clown mask lunge at him with a butcher knife. The knife pierced his side. He didn't know how deep, but he could feel the cold steel under his skin. He thrust kicked the clown in the chest, and he went tumbling down the stairs. Hunter was bleeding badly and needed medical assistance fast. He heard the clown pounding back up the stairs. He scrambled for the door, bungling for his keys along the way. He clumsily shoved the blood-covered key in the hole. The clown was now at the top of the stairs and bolting towards him. Hunter got in his apartment, slammed the door shut, and locked it. He started to call 911, but the clown shoulder rammed the door and startled the phone from his blood-soaked grip. The door still held, but was now dented inwards. He picked up his phone and managed to call 911. The clown relentlessly bashed the door over and over. He frantically gave the 911 operator his address and told them to send the police and an ambulance. His door was caving in quickly. He could see the streetlight coming through the top and the sides. Ooh, that ain't good. The clown stuck the knife through the gaps in the door, trying to jimmy it open. Hunter's vision was getting blurry. He felt lightheaded. He was sitting on the floor, holding a towel over his gaping wound. As he was passing out, he could hear the sound of sirens getting louder. Then, everything went black. The next thing he knew, he was on a gurney, being loaded into the back of an ambulance. He was operated on and stitched up. No major organs were damaged. Got lucky there. After he got out of recovery, he was visited by the police. They showed him a picture of the clown. Hunter clearly showed signs of post-traumatic stress, you think, but was able to identify him. The police advised Hunter that they apprehended him just outside his apartment complex. He was someone they had been trying to catch for a long time. He had killed 6 people in the area and wounded 12 others. A serial killer had been stalking and slaughtering people for 2 years in his neighborhood. Needless to say, he doesn't play Randonautica anymore. It's just a little too dangerous, even for him.